Welcome to another episode of Go With Your Palate. I'm Joe Wagner. We got my co-host, Chris Fat Mario Rubio, and we're here with Robyn Youkilis.
I've just been reading about the unique meditations that you have, and like including like EDM music, stuff like that. So I'd just like to hear some about
my
that.
style of meditation.
Your style.
Yeah.
Please.
So yeah, one thing that I've learned is meditation is for everybody, and it can look like many, many different things. Depending what walk of life you're from, you can think of meditation and think of like, okay, I need to be in a lotus pose and in India or on top of a mountain, or my house is always chaotic, or I don't have time. And we tend to make it really special, kind of like we make intuition special, right? We like save it for these like big moments of this, get this intuitive hit. It's like, take it off the special shelf. Like use your intuition for what you're going to order for lunch. Meditation, take it off the special shelf. It's not something that you're just going to do when you're at a retreat. Can you bring this into your life most days in just a very simple, basic way? The reason I love meditation is because I feel like I'm in myself, my own world, my own body, and it's nice to spend time there. We spend so much time giving to others, showing up for others, producing, doing, growing, building, living. And when I'm in my own meditation, whether it's 2 minutes or 20 minutes, like that time's just for me with me. And I can be like, hey, hi, you're doing a good job. It's nice to spend a minute here. So I define meditation as really any mindful, intentional moment. That's different than how other meditation teachers define it. And so I feel like if you can just have a mindful moment, sometimes that can be listening to a song that makes you feel thoughtful, introspective in your body, and you're just dedicating it to say, during this song, I'm going to focus on my breathing and focus on just being here. That can be a meditation. So you can do that on the way to work. You can do that on the subway. You can bring your kids into that and do it when you're at drop-off. You know, there's so many ways. I also define meditation as when in the morning, sometimes I just have a moment to take 3 deep breaths before I go into the chaos of everything. So what that looks like is I just sit up in bed, I place a hand over heart, I'm like, good morning, self, and I'm just, I do that 3 times, and I'm like, oh, if that's the only meditation I got in, you could just felt the shift even just from 1 deep breath. Like that is super, super powerful. And then in my work, in my practice, in my professional keynote speaking, I like to make meditation fun. I'm a huge music freak. We go to Coachella every year. I've been to over 100 Phish shows, if anybody knows what that is. We're constantly...
Our Phish fans out there.
Phish fans. I'm actually going to be doing some wellness content for some upcoming Phish shows, so it's all coming together. But I like to incorporate that in the work. Like, for example, Jai Wolf is an artist I really love and is a DJ and makes these really powerful songs. And like, can I listen to a Jai Wolf song and just be in my breath and be in my body and in my life? And again, kind of focusing around that food philosophy that I was sharing earlier. If I can focus my mind during these meditation moments on being in my body, being in my breath, it's less about, it takes the pressure off of rather of, am I thinking about things? I've completely shifted it then to I'm breathing, I'm here, I'm present, as opposed to I'm thinking about this, oh, that's not right. It really like separates it from like a task or a to-do that you're likely may fail at or feel frustrated about into something that is for everyone and is so doable and has so many different forms and versions.
I think that I do a lot of meditation in public bathrooms.
Is that a sit-down moment or a stand-down moment?
No, it's actually...
That's your safe place?
No, it's just, no, like if I'm on the road and I'm like, I need to like...
Take a minute.
Reset myself.
Yeah.
And I'll actually like just go.
Good.
Just go to the bathroom and
You
be
get
like,
it in where you can get it in.
And then it's like, okay, we got this. Back into the wine dinner.
Yeah, exactly. It's a moment to ground yourself, to center yourself. That's a meditation.
Yeah.
And so lean into that. So you know that works for you. How can you do that in your home life? Like you don't need to wait for the pull or the excuse to go into the bathroom. Can you find some corner in your room? Yeah, go set up an altar, like go for it. Is there a little spot in your podcast studio before you get started in your day? Or you feel the day is like I feel like physically it starts to get up here. Like I can feel into my shoulders, into my neck, into my jaw. It starts to like creep up and climb up. And I'm like, I need to bring all of this down. Where can I just take a moment and just, again, do the 3 deep breaths, put on something that feels like a meditation song to you. There's all this yoga music. If that's it, there's tons of guided meditations online. I offer them on my websites. I have free 5 meditations you can download right away. So all these ways that you can do it, just experiment and find something that works for you. And if you hear one thing from this session, like, you know, focus, let it be the meditation piece and be like, I'm going to spend the next month trying everything until I feel like something has landed.
Mm-hmm. And we were on the ride over here. We were talking about meditation, and Joe asked me something I thought would be a great thing to bring up to you, like the expert, but because we were talking about in my experience with when you're there and you're trying not to the intrusive thoughts. So he said something about like where we're like clearing your mind, and I was like, well, from what I always thought that you're gonna have these thoughts come, and the best thing to do is to not prevent them, but to allow them to pass through you.
You're never going to clear your mind. Like your mind, that's actually completely impossible. We don't even clear our minds when we're sleeping. Our spirit world takes over. So my goal with that is to not have the thoughts consume and overwhelm me. So I'll have a to-do list come up or an idea of something, or just like I'm off in some conversation and I forget that I'm even meditating. I recognize what's going on. I stay in it. I say, oh, okay, I hear you thought. I'm going to put you down. I'm going to come back to you later. Or I hear you. We'll be back with you later. I'm going to and sometimes I'll visualize myself like physically putting the thoughts down, almost like putting down suitcases. Like I'll see the words sort of falling to the ground. Some people, you can throw them in a fire or wash them away in the waves, like whatever visual works for you, just kind of like you catch them and you put them down. And yes, I have done longer meditations where I have cleared my mind and I'm in this bliss state. And then you come out and you're like, oh shit, that was dope. But like, is that going to happen in my everyday life? As a mom of two, like it can. I have colleagues that it does, but like, it's not my goal. My goal is to be in my body, to bring meditation in. So I'm spending more time in that parasympathetic rest and digest moment for myself. And that I feel like I'm really in my life. And meditation is just such a beautiful invitation to be in your body and in your life more.
And are you getting your kids into this?
They do. So I have rules to this. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So they see me meditating all the time. So if I'm doing it on my own, they know there's two rules. They're either welcome to sit next to me and be quiet. They're welcome to join in, or they can just play quietly next to me, or they have to leave. That's it. You're always welcome. You can play, you can do your little whatever you're doing next to me. You can join, you can breathe, whatever, or you don't. And my 8-year-old goes in stages. Right now she's in a rebellious phase where she's like, I don't want to meditate. I don't want to breathe. So I'm just like, I'm going to do it. You're welcome to join me at any time. I still believe like she's seen me do it. She knows it. She's got that skill. She'll go to it when she wants to. And my 3-year-old, like, yeah, she'll copy me if I'm doing a hand mudra or gesture, or I'm like leaving a little bowl with my hand. She'll do that and she'll breathe with me. Sometimes we'll put on a fun kids meditation or song, and they join in or they don't. Yeah. And I don't try and make them or any of that.
Don't force them. Don't use them as a punishment. Like, okay, you need to calm down and meditate.
But I'm clear. Like I enforce that boundary of like, you're welcome to join me, or you need to leave. You need to go. Yeah. And they see me like with boundaries. Also, one more point. All of these wellness practices, I'm always verbally telling my children what I'm doing. Even when they go to school, they're like, oh, are you going to work today? I'm like, well, first I'm going to yoga and then I'm going to go to my office. Or when I get to my office, I'm going to meditate first. Or are you staying up tonight past when I'm sleeping? I'm like, well, I'm going to rest, read a book, journal a little bit. I'm constantly like verbalizing these practices that I do so they hear them and they're normalized. Instead of saying I have to go to work, or it's like I get to go to work. I'm going to do this next. I'm really like trying to show them that there's a different way to navigate life, like a calmer, clearer, lighter way. That's my
Especially in the city. Like, I mean,
exactly. Totally. You don't have to do it as much when we're upstate. We have a house upstate. It's like, just go play in the dirt. Everyone's like, oh, my mom's like, oh, the kids need shoes. I'm like, the kids do not need shoes. They need their feet in the dirt. Earthing is a real thing. The earth has a frequency. It's always trying to balance us as well. So yeah, let the kids go play, do their thing.
I will say that the city has changed so much since the first time I came here. I really did not like it the first time I came here, because it was just hurry up and wait is what it was. A bunch of suits, and people weren't like, it just seemed like it was the rat race, and nobody was really focusing on kind of like, well, what does a more holistic life look like within a concrete jungle? Yeah. And you can definitely see it out there now. People aren't like, racing to a Starbucks to stand in line for 30 minutes. And, it's like, I think it's just a much better thing for humanity overall. But it's very beneficial, I think, to the city. And I like the city more By the way, you guys are doing way better than San Francisco.
True.
And I have so much compassion for people that are, in the grind, working long hours, commuting on a subway or in traffic every day. I validate you. Like, that's hard. That's a lot. What can you do that's just a little bit different to support you? Can you listen to mantra music or a meditative song on your commute? Can you commit to breathing? Can you light a candle at your desk? Can you, when you get to work, can you stand there and say, like, I'm so happy to be here. Can you try that and see if it shifts anything? And I'm not trying to Pollyanna or niceties over things, but I do believe that living a more grounded, spiritual, lighter life does work everywhere. It just takes more focus and more intention. And then also sometimes knowing, we talked about, in your 20s, you just might not be in that chapter of your life right now. And you can say, okay, that's not totally possible for me. Maybe I'll try a couple things, but I trust that that's coming and lean into that. And even that sometimes just creates a little bit more spaciousness for you. So there's not so much pressure to do these things, but you're like, okay, I'll work on it a little bit here, a little bit there. But you're aware of it now because you're listening to this. So
and then you make it habitual.
Exactly. Yeah. And then over time, you're like, wow, that little thing that I did, that commitment to 3 deep breaths or, hydrating a little bit better, I'm seeing a shift. And now that's a habit. What's another one that I can do?
Yeah. Changing habits.
But I do like we're all trying a little bit more collectively as a society. I do feel like it's better. Like diet culture is changing. The messages I see for my girls versus what I saw. I feel like taking the woo-woo out of meditation and mindfulness practices. They're in public schools. I think bringing this more in, it's really changing. I don't think we're where we're going to land with it yet. I do think we're in a bridge moment between what was and what's coming. But I feel pretty good that I'm part of that movement to make it more accessible and happen more often for everyone. I hope. That's my hope.
Well, I think you are. And I think you're seeing people are adopting it and trying it, and they're going to find some benefit to it, I think, overall. And then you're going to find out what works for you.
Exactly. And it's not that serious. Like, I hope at anything you see me being like, I'm fully in my life. Like, I'm having a good time. I was at Phish Festival this summer. I do all the things. I don't try to be perfect, and I don't never eat packaged, I and that's what works for me. I have colleagues that are like, absolutely can't have certain things in their life. And that's what works for them. You do you.
Is the whole Phish band still the same band?
Yes.
It is?
It's all the same guys doing their thing. It's very impressive.
Okay.
And it's still very, very fun.
Oh, I bet.
They're playing some shows in October. We just did a bunch of shows. We went to Bethel this summer. We did the festival that got canceled so many years ago and this was the recent opportunity. It was wild. I stayed in an RV. We were having bone broth every morning in the RV. Oh. Yeah. I had my biomat.
See?
I had my acupressure mats. I'm doing all the things. Put a little salt in my shoes for grounding.
Is it so are there still a lot of psychedelics going on?
Oh, it's all of it.
Yeah, it's all of it. Yeah.
Enjoy, live and let drink water, be safe, have fun.
Just always curious, as the those bands get older and as the listeners,
the core audience
also get older.
But there's 20 somethings. Oh my God, the amount I met this one kid, Brandon, is 19 years old. He'd never seen them before, and there is all these new generations.
I mean, it is timeless music.
It is timeless, and the community's in me. I'm always there for the community. I always listen to the show later. My husband, his big joke is he goes like this. He does the eye thing, watch the stage. And I'm like, I want to watch the people and be in the environment. I'll listen to the music later. There's nothing like being in community like that. And I do believe all these wellness communities that are popping up. My friend's doing something called Belong Centers, where there's an opportunity to go and be in a space and just meet other people in a really intentional way. Same creator of Daybreaker, which are these morning sober dance parties that you go to before work. There's these businesses and environments. Have you ever heard of the Daybreaker? Did you say
a morning sober?
Yeah. So it's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. It's called Daybreaker. They're currently on tour right now called Party to the Polls because their initiative is to get more people registered to vote. So they're on a 40-city tour over the next month, but their regular cadence is, once a quarter or something like that. And there are these morning sober dance parties. My friend Radha Agarwal started with her partner Eli, and you go, there's tea, there's coffee, there's bananas, and it's full live music, and they have themes, and you just go dance your face off, and you feel what it feels like to be alive and sober, and then you go to work, and you're like, what is life? Those feel-good neurotransmitters, those hormones, that serotonin is dripping. And the more we can get of that, then the more we're going to make these better choices for ourselves. It's a cycle.
I am curious though. So is there a group of people that do not sober dance parties in the morning?
I don't know. Maybe, but that's not their ethos. That's not their ethos.
No, I know, but the sober part of that, I'm like, well, I'm sober in the morning.
Right. Well,
Usually,
most people are sober in the morning, but the idea is that like you know, you can have, tonics and, caffeine or not caffeine, things like that. But the idea is that you're coming together in community.
Start to the day.
Exactly. And you're dancing, dancing releases so many feel good hormones. And like, so why save that for just like a club or like, we don't have a lot of opportunities to dance and feel that freedom in our lives. And again, it's that cycle of the more that you do things like that, you plug in, the better choices that we make in all these different areas of our lives.
I totally agree. I think also for businesses that it would benefit them in productivity to incorporate some time every day where either people for meditation, but then also like the 15-minute dance thing. I actually had friends when we were like in college and studies were getting hectic and something like that. Like we play with implementing like, okay, the alarm's gonna go off. We're gonna dance for like 10 minutes, 15, just crazy and whatever. Like you're doing finals and stuff, but everyone stop what you're doing, dance, get out of it, and kind of shake around, and you laugh, and then it gets the energy up. And I think it's noticed on where I read on your website though too, like because you do a lot of these consultations for businesses. And that if you want to hear the numbers, like there's like studies where productivity increases 120%.
120% increase in productivity when your staff team meditates even just 5 minutes a couple times a week.
So that's really interesting.
Wild.
Dude, just
like
chill.
Mandatory meditation.
Okay.
And if you need that implemented in your business, I'll come. I'm going to come to Napa. I'm going to come up with a team group meditation.
I do think it's a good idea. We might need a different location, but but no. So just think of like general corporate America right now, and how that there's a delay in adopting these things. Right? You can prove it over and over again that there's going to be a benefit to the business and to mental health and whatever else for everybody that's involved in it. But what I'm seeing now is that with my kids in school, they actually have these breaks in the school as part of the daily program. Did you know that?
I didn't know this.
So like they'll start off like they'll take a few minutes in the morning before they even start school to kind of try to recenter everybody over the intercoms, and then you'll also have other breaks throughout the day where they do this. So I think that the adoption, like that didn't happen when I was in school. When I was in school, it was just like bell rings, get your ass to class, listen to your teacher talk to you and not get you involved. It was just like a really shitty system. And the systems have seemed to like be broken down and they're being rebuilt to a degree right now. And understanding how people work. I think there's a lot more work to be done on how boys interact with education. Because it's not, it doesn't. Women and men are totally different when it comes to how they ingest or digest information and
schedules and all that.
And I think the school system is a little more catered towards the kind of way women take information, which is why women are becoming much more, I think, successful in their.
And one would say the workplace is much more tailored to military time and how men perform best.
Yeah.
So.
Boom. Good point.
Boom on that
one. But so what I would imagine is going to happen is that the ideologies that are being taught and learned right now in school, as far as taking those breaks and kind of the recentering or whatever you want to call it, that'll be adapted to the culture of business because that is something so common in the upbringing of the public school system in particular.
Every company needs a corporate wellness system put into place. I do consultations, I do consulting, I fly out, I work with teams over a week, 2 weeks. I have different offerings around that, and just come up with something that works best for your culture, your company, and your goals, because that's different for everybody. And I think people think of wellness as something more rigid or, we can't have cake on Friday. It's like, you can't, like, what do you want? What are your goals? Like, do you want people to have more feel good? Do you want them to be more productive? Like, it's so customizable, and it doesn't have to be this all or nothing thing, and I promise your employees will be like, we talked about like show up at your desk and say, I'm so happy to be here. That will happen more.
Well, from the larger, like what's the largest group you've done or largest organization.
I mean, when I've been on stage speaking, I've spoken to thousands, an audience of 3,000 people.
But as far as implementing a
consulting
wellness...
teams, like 40 people was one of my smaller ones that I was in. 252 to 250 was another office that I worked with.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so with something like, take the 250 example. So what was the process of that in creating and understanding what the need was or what the desire was, I suppose? And then what was the adoption rate by employee? Like, because that's what I'm curious about.
Yeah.
I know that there are people in our organization that would be like, no, that's too hippy dippy for me or whatever. But then you're going to have a whole bunch of people that are going to take it the opposite route. But, I think of like my guys in the cellar, right?
Yeah.
Most of them Mexican descent, very traditional values. But I think that they would be the ones that would benefit the most in the entire company from like taking a moment and being like, yeah, I gotta like reset for the day or reset for the the next half of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, just any insight or any kind of like experience you've had with the implementation, the adoption rate, and how to recruit people into
buy-in. How to get buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Again, depends on the company size. When it's a larger company, again, meeting with the heads, like what's possible here? Is a mandatory fresh air break possible? Is a morning song possible? Is a morning minute possible? And with that company, it was like, let's do check-ins on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So they have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning offering. That's what we built in. They all have their, smaller team meetings. So within the smaller teams, I trained the heads to lead a 2 to 5 minute something. Like whether it's a gratitude practice, taking a minute to write down your intention for the day, listening to a song together and kind of like bringing everyone's resonance in the same moment. So I trained the smaller department heads on how to lead that themselves. And then we determined that this particular staff really liked learning things. Like they felt like they didn't know enough. So we did a monthly workshop on Fridays. So they're working with other consultants, contractors, things like that to come in on Fridays and let people learn, like talk about this. Like people love to get out of their desk environment moment and like, oh, I want to come learn about fermented foods, or I want to come learn about, the benefits of meditation, things like that. So really they like to learn. So we brought that in. So really thinking about your seller guys, I would think the top line moment would be that education piece of like, why is this important? It's not just this woo-woo thing. The way in this conversation that I've been constantly connecting it back to, it's like, you'll have more energy for you. You'll enjoy your life more. When you get home from your shift at the end of the day, you'll have more to give your partner, your kids. Like you'll feel lighter in your heart. Like how could that impact you in all the ways? So just thinking through some of those, is it a intention setting moment in the morning? Just bringing any of these mindfulness practices. And maybe it is offering once or twice a week some really supportive foods, that there's supplements that you supply, things like that. So it's really tailored to what's doable. That's always my goal. Kind of how I told you before, like the supplements only work if you actually take them. Yeah. So corporate and company wellness policies only work if people really engage. So it's like, what would your people do? And like sitting down and talking with employees, like what would be fun for you? What would you want to show up for? And what would be really impactful? And the companies I've worked with, they are still doing that. They definitely go through phases. I think during like super busy seasons, it's like, okay, we're pausing this for a couple of weeks, even though they probably need it more. Yeah. But even just me giving them permission to do that is like, I'd rather they do it full in than half-assed. It's like, okay, we're pausing that. We'll come back to that in the new year. Here's your implementation date. And then it's on me as their consultant to say, okay, did you restart your practices January 5th rather?
Yeah. Great.
Do you need a tune-up,
That's really good insight. Yeah.
Okay, let's sign us up.
Sign us up. What are we going to do? We're going to like get everybody in the barrel room like once a day?
Yeah.
That might be like a high reach. So maybe it's like Mondays and Fridays. Yeah. You start the week off on a certain foot, and then Fridays you do a little check-in before the weekend. And it also just improves like good feelings that people have in work. Yeah. When they're connecting good feelings to your environment, they're likely going to stay there longer. They're going to go the distance more. They're going to be healthier. And, sick days, things like that, like they're going to be able to show up better for themselves and for what they do for you. That's the goal. That's the goal in all.
Well, that is the goal. And I think that I would imagine that it would be, it would prove to be beneficial
Yeah, but I
and
love
keeping
going
people
into.
happy.
I love coming into companies and be like, everyone's like, oh, the woo-ness. They expect me in like a sea of like
You call
white
the woo-
robes
yeah,
and
you
like
call them-
draped in crystals, and I show up in my like
Enchanting.
leopard jeans and like
You call it the woo-woo-ness?
the woo-woo-ness, woo-woo, the woo-woo world. And I'm just like, yeah, I've got all that in me too, but I also have a very realistic approach and
Yeah.
like, I want this to be fun for you because what's the point if it's not? But I also know the effectiveness of it.
Yeah.
And like,
You
how
can't
cool.
just come in like crystals blazing.
Crystals
Yeah, like-
blazing. Although I might pull some out of my Mary Poppins bag because I do believe in them, but like they're not necessary.
yeah.
They're not necessary. But I learned like with some companies, like I work with a startup that they just didn't have enough fresh offerings. So they were supplying like packaged little Doritos, but if they started putting out orange weekly fruit and platters, things like people were eating that.
Yeah.
And you're just going to feel better if you're having that most of the time. You have the Doritos sometimes. Like little things like that. But people need often a consultant to come in and be like, okay, guys, like let's do better. Here's how.
Why the fuck do we have so many pastries in the office? That's
Just a sometimes thing.
well, I know.
And why
I know,
don't we
I
have
know,
any
I know
sage?
Why don't you have any sage? I have
It's our-
so much sage. You're welcome to.
It's our
bring some home
director of
with you.
HR. She loves bringing pastries in, and they're just sitting there, and they're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, just a little piece, and then you're like,
You
yeah,
make
I'm gonna have a whole
You
one.
can make a hydration station with like
That's-
all
see,
different
that's-
kinds of salt.
I like that
Those are, like a
idea.
little hydration station. Like people love shit like that.
Yeah,
They're like, ooh.
doing their own little mixes.
Yeah.
and then a little educational board on like what each one item.
Yeah,
one
like-
what ad will give you.
People talk about buy-in. Like
Yeah.
it's like a cocktail bar for your, liver.
So Chris, what was the water that you talked about? Mountain
Valley.
Yes, Mountain Valley Spring. That's quite elite.
Glass
that water.
bottle.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
great.
So, like, if you're-
very
if-
heavy, but really
Swimmer.
great.
So if you're-
Saratoga's another really
if you're
good
traveling-
one.
Saratoga
Yeah.
is really good. That's those
Yeah.
blue bottles actually.
I know Saratoga. Yeah, those blue bottles are not very recyclable, by the way.
Yeah.
And I know this has nothing to do with wellness or anything, but
But
it
things
is.
we think about. It occupies space in our brain. So
Well,
that is
and
wellness.
And I do think that like getting people, aware of these things, like yes, metals are going to be more recyclable, but when it comes to our whole recycling agenda here in the U.S., it is proven to drive industry out of the U.S.
Yeah.
And then I've been to glass plants in Mexico, and they don't have the same regulations as us. And
Yeah.
you're seeing, I mean, I'm not kidding. There is like black soot around the town for a mile around this.
They burn their
this factory.
garbage. It's hard.
And
yeah.
and the working conditions are horrible and everything. And I go to a glass plant here in California, and they've got scrubs and everything there, and like the amount of recycled material that they're mandated to use, and they also have to pay into the recycling program, which is not great, but that all does push industry out of America. And so I've been really big on trying to keep it here, because if we're working here, we're going to be working within parameters that are going to be a higher standard for the environment, and also we're keeping industry here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So but-
Your business goals.
yeah, so those are some of my goals, and it's good to be able to execute them. But I also think, like, just as we're talking about wellness and the way that you treat your body is the way that you should also treat your business and your surroundings. So hopefully people learn something from it.
If you take away one thing, you know what I mean? Like, what's one thing that you can implement today that we talked about in this conversation? And one way that we can be more mindful.
Yeah.
And keep it simple.
Well, going off that, so I thought we could get, because we talked about maybe we could get a little taste here as we're kind of wrapping up of a little meditation that we could we could go through. And
I think the listeners and viewers are going to be super excited to watch us meditate.
please, no,
You're welcome, everyone.
no,
You are
this
welcome.
But this is for them too. They can meditate with
Yes,
us. I mean,
everyone-
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like we're gonna be. It's a guided meditation.
Yeah,
Like
okay,
we're
so-
all going on the
And
trip
we're-
together.
okay, we're.
Everyone's invited.
No psychedelics involved.
Don't slip me an Altoid that's actually Molly, please.
Yeah. The kids call it MDMA now.
MDMA.
Yeah, only that's showing your age when you call it Molly.
I know.
I don't know how I know any of this. Just I knew we talk about a lot of things, so here we are.
So I do need to try microdosing, not necessarily MDMA, but like I have friends that are doing it, and like they're like, yeah, I go to the gym after like microdosing,
yeah.
mycelium or whatever, and I'm like, really?
Well, they say the meter with that, and there's different levels of microdose. So first of all, microdosing has been shown in research and in studies with people, tons of people. Like can be profoundly healing.
Yeah.
Plants are the original healers. So if they're used in a mindful, intentional way in these small doses, like wow, like the results for mental health, well-being, healing some conditions, digestive issues, it's profound.
Well, mushrooms, in particular, that's where I think people need to drill into a little bit more, and certain mushroom types and what they can do to benefit your body, and how to cook them as well.
Well, I recommend like capsules. There's places you can find different versions, but I was told a microdose. There's a different range within microdosing, but generally you should be able to drive and talk to your kids' teachers. So if you can do those things, then you can go to the gym. It is like a subliminal, micro amount. Yeah. And that's enough. That's enough for your body to have that conversation with that plant. I've experimented with mushroom microdosing and, when I've had some, mental health dips that I feel like in my life, and I did it for an intentional couple months, and then I felt like, okay, I felt complete in that chapter. But if something my clients need to explore, I'm not the professional for that. There's resources and places you can go. But I think it's really cool that that's coming, again, also more mainstream and other ways that we can take care of ourselves.
Well, the pharmaceutical companies have had such a lock on, if you need help with mental, health, take these drugs. Like, no, there's Mother Nature's there. There are ways. And I think we're finally exposing, or not exposing.
Yeah, it's an option.
Them.
Yeah, an option. Something to try. Again, not for everybody. And some people do, thank goodness that we do have pharmaceuticals when we need them. But there's all these different things that, like we said, there can be, people are taking Pepcid every day, but are you chewing your food?
Yeah.
And with mushrooms, I think there's so much great ones that also don't have like the psychedelic effects.
Exactly.
Like lion's mane, turkey tail. Like
I do lion's mane every day.
Yeah. So good for cognitive brain function, overall optimal health. Pile them on there. And there's so much research and cancer institutes around non-psychedelic mushrooms. Actually, nature is dope.
I did want to ask you about this. Thank you for bringing
You're just stalling meditating.
I know. Thank you.
So we will meditate.
Okay,
I will go on this journey.
It's going to be like 60 seconds probably. Don't worry.
Okay. No, so I wanted your gut health and Ozempic.
Oh gosh, are we going there?
I really do want you, because I've just been reading more stuff about it. People have told me I went on it, whatever else, and maybe for a temporary fix, or somebody's getting knee surgery, they got to lose weight fast. I get there's probably moments like that, but I feel like people have just jumped on the bandwagon for this thing without giving it any time to vet itself out and understand what the issues might be. And all of a sudden, we're starting to see cancer rates go up, and they're starting to point the finger at Ozempic. You're seeing, stomach paralysis. Do you have any thoughts on Ozempic? Have you started to see it in real time, the negative effects?
So when something like that comes on the market, I really very intentionally take a moment to not look at all the noise and the media and the pointing fingers and what's happening out there. And I sort of tune in to myself and I say, what do I really think about this? In my nutritional background, in my intentional living life this way background, how does this feel to me? And what I feel is that it's a very nuanced conversation. I do think in some ways it is a miracle drug and people really need it. I think when there's a swell of, popularity around something, I am always one to pause and be as intentional as I can be about it. That being said, there's always going to be trends that come and go, and that will eventually equalize. And I believe that people that really, truly benefit from it will find their way to it, and the people that it's not for will cycle their way out of it. The same way that we did back in remember that oil that things were cooked in, and everybody, and there was some other pill that we took 10 years ago that was popular. It's everything runs in cycles. And so it's another cycle of a moment. What I don't like is Ozempic accusations, people feeling holier than thou. They are, they aren't. And let everyone find their way. You stay in your lane, talk to your doctor, and if you feel that somebody's doing it, so you're like, oh, I'm going to do it, that's never a good idea for anything. So if it's Ozempic showing you that you need to always pause and say, what's for me? What do I really intentionally need? Much better. It just makes it softer for the people that do need it, and it makes it calmer and clearer for the people that generally don't. And I will say, digestively speaking, most pharmaceuticals have a negative to, they have side effects.
Yeah.
There is a backlash, and nothing is without cause and concern. Nothing. And so, can you explore holistic alternative methods first and see and exhaust that route? Yes, do that. If this is something that's really going to help you for an intentional period of time, I'm not going to judge you. I get it. People want the fix. They want to feel better. They want to feel lighter. I completely understand it. And I'm not going to throw, point fingers, throw darts at you. It's like, my goal is always that things come into balance. And I don't believe if somebody is, in a larger body necessarily that, they're supposed to be a zero. And if they're using a drug in a way that's getting them to a zero, the second they go off of it, they're not going to be that. I want everyone to find their own balanced way. And maybe they need help if they're in a larger body, that they would be more comfortable as a size 10, and it will help them get there, but not to get to the zero isn't the point. And that's a lot of words and thoughts and things I said, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Well, I think what you're saying is like, tolerance, right? In a way, like there's it's not a absolutely or an absolutely no.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. And I just don't like the media of the pointing fingers and the negative. I just don't think that's good for anybody. You focus on you.
The media. I don't even want to we're not going to get started on the media. Before we get
Like,
worked up about the media,
let's. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's mean.
It
I don't
is.
like it's Ozempic face. That's not nice. Like, you be in your own light, bright world. How are you nourishing yourself? Put that down. It's not quality food for your brain to consume that.
Yeah. Oh, but they love the headlines.
Yeah, I get it. And that's fine. And that's going to exist. It's always existed, it always will. But you come back to you and use these practices to come back to you. So we're going to meditate to come back to each of us. Not even in this group. You're going to be in your own moment.
Love and light.
For you.
Is there a position?
Whatever position you're comfortable with. So it could be great to have your feet on the ground. I am typically a cross legs meditator. A lot of people like, so I'll show you.
I was going to do this.
So yeah, if that feels good and right for you, you can sit like that. I really love this. Hand suggestions is you can have palms open. That's really nice to receive. Or you can place palms down if you feel like you really need grounding.
Good posture, Chris.
I'm stuck in this chair. I
Got
this gangster lean like the whole time. I'm just trying to be good, all right?
You're doing great.
We got great show behind the scenes that's helping us out.
So palms up for open and receiving, energy, lightness, pulling that all in. Grounding when you want to slow down, ground down, like you need a little bit of earthing. But
I'm more of a giver.
You're more of a giver. So you might want to go more in.
Okay.
And one third alternative I can offer to you is to make like a little cup at your base. And I actually find that really supportive. So I do whatever feels good for me. Personally, like palms open and out doesn't feel super comfortable for me. If you want your feet on the ground, if you want to lay down, that's fine. Some people like their head or back against something. I know professional meditators are like, your head is not supposed to be supported. So again, I'm from the school of thought, like whatever works for you. So take a moment, get comfy, and just tune in. Again, coming to this intuition. What do you need in this moment? You want to get on the ground? Are you going to get on the ground? Yes.
Okay.
So whatever's comfortable for you. If you're not in the shot, we'll adjust. Yeah, I'm going to take a moment. I think that's another thing too. We think we're supposed to be in a position, but you're not actually comfortable. So get comfy.
Okay. I don't even need the mic in my face for this, but okay.
No, but you're good. Okay. So I gently invite you to close your eyes if that feels safe for you and you're able to do so. If you're driving, you can just do this in your mind. If you're doing dishes, you can just do this in your mind. I'm going to do hands down because I feel like we got some Friday energy going on. So grounding would feel really nice. If eyes closed feels good, go right ahead. If you'd rather have them open, that works too. And before we do anything or I guide you in anything, just take a moment to notice if there's any shifts just in the invitation of meditating, of closing your eyes, of getting comfortable, of taking a moment just for you, to be with you in your thoughts, in your energy, in your own spirit. Let's see if we can go a little bit deeper. So you're going to breathe in with me and breathe out. On that inhale, you want your belly to expand, breathing in and letting that belly fall, breathing out. You're going to do one more time in whatever way feels good for you. Breathing in and breathing out. And letting your breath fall to something that feels natural for you. And in your natural breathing cycles, I want to call some attention to the space between your brows, finding a little softness there. Moving to your throat and neck, a little bit more ease. And next, gently inviting your shoulders down, all while breathing at the same time. You can do it. Letting your shoulders go, letting them drop. And if it suits you, you can even imagine anything that's been weighing on you as sort of just shaking off your shoulders. You can do a little movement if that feels good. And just imagine it all slipping and falling away, down, 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 to be recycled by this beautiful earth that we get to live our lives on. Breathing softly in and breathing softly out. I'm intuitively being drawn for us to set an intention for the rest of our day together. So I want you to invite into your mind's eye, what is something that you would like to focus on today or feel good about today or invite in to your day? Maybe it's just to simply have more intention, more intentional moments in whatever it is that you're doing. Maybe it's to breathe more, to focus on the little joys of life, calling on that intuition and that deep inner knowing. What is your intention for the rest of your day or evening? Breathing that in and breathing that out. Breathing that in and breathing that out. Keeping that relaxation between the eyebrows, shoulders, neck, and body. And before we close this meditative moment, I want you to ask yourself if there's anything you need to know right here, right now. Hey, self, is there anything you want me to know? Sometimes I hear you're doing a good job, or the answers are all within you, or just let go and have fun. Is there anything in this blissful moment that you want to invite in? Just making a little mental note of that and then letting it go. We're going to close with 3 deep breaths together as a community, feeling each other in time and space, no matter where you are or when you're listening to this. We are all connected. And the more we can feel and breathe into that connection, the more connected we feel to ourselves and to our lives and to our loved ones. So we're going to take 3 breaths together now. Let it all go. And we are breathing in and breathing out. Softening that face, breathing in and breathing out. Making this last one big and full in, lungs expanding, ribs expanding in, and breathing out. Letting that all go. Thanking yourself for showing up for this today, for this moment, for this guidance, and for this receiving. I like to close with lowering my head just a little bit, softly opening my eyes, coming back into space. I'm going to give my heart a little rub, saying thank you while we slowly come back. Just remembering where we are, coming to this moment, noticing any shifts or anything you sense, feels a little different or not. That's okay too. Just thanking whatever came up and through for you. And there we have it. There's your little guided grounding session.
Felt good. I bailed a little early, I think, but
Okay, it's okay. You did great.
Chris, did you almost fall asleep? Feel good?
Namaste, bitches. Namaste.
Namaste in this position.
It's nice. Does anybody want to share what came up for you? Did you have any little notes or intentions you want to share?
Thank you.
It was relaxing. It was kind of the moment of you
Thank you.
You do feel good.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
That's the whole point.
And what was that? 3 minutes?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oh. Wow.
It is also nice to have a guide.
That's why I do this for a living. I need a guide too. I have my own guides as well. And I just feel like the power in life is like, can you do that and then do your day from that place? Can you parent from that place? Can you partner from that place? Can you go for a walk from that place? And like, wow, that is really the like growth point in life.
Well, great.
I love the guided meditation. Yeah, you have the voice, the energy, like everything. Like I just dropped right in.
And nothing of that was scripted or rehearsed. I just drop into my intuition. I just trust whatever wants to come through comes through.
You did mention one thing that I think we should close out on, which is we don't do it so much anymore. We used to do it on a daily basis where we would go around the table. Well, like the kids, it's hard to have all the kids now at the dinner table.
You do have a lot
at the same
of them.
time. But up until like the oldest were like 14, it was like everybody was at the dinner table every night, and it was great. And then as they became teenagers and kind of like some of them became assholes, then they'd be like scattered around, and they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna eat after I work out and whatever." But we would do this thing. One of the things, and I think the most important one that we would ask was your tiny moment of joy. And so, and it was like in the beginning, it was kind of hard. Like they would be like, "What?" Once you get used to it, once they get trained on it, kind of like they'll start remembering things throughout the day.
It's a muscle you work.
Yeah, and so we would call it like Timo J.
Oh my God, I love that. I've never heard this. This is so great.
And it was cool. So
I'll credit you always if I ever teach it.
You're like making our eyes sweat, dude.
So you want us to all say our tiny moments of joy?
Sure. As so far today.
Yeah.
Let's do Timo J's today.
Timo J's today, and everyone do yours.
Let's see. Should we start with Chris?
Sure. Okay. So my tiny moment of joy so far was basically my journey over here. I felt joy and gratitude and be able to spend time with a close one as I walked over and met Joe, and human connection. And then our ride over, I don't usually like to get all soft with him, we get all tough, but sometimes just the ride over with your best bud and you're planning on doing some great stuff and have the great experience that we had today. It's those moments of just conversation and joking around that can take you back even to when you were a kid and those good moments. So
yeah, we were nice to each other this morning. Yeah, because usually our love language is giving each other hell.
Yeah. Thanks, bro.
Look at us increasing the joy. You can
Thank
feel
you, Robyn.
the vibration. That's a frequency, though. People study that.
Thank you.
Not sure that was tiny. It was more like a medium.
That's what I was going to call. I was going to call him out on that, but I didn't want to. I was like, that was really sweet, so I don't want to be a dick.
It was very sweet. I'm teasing.
Would you like to go next, Robyn?
Sure, I'll go next. Mine tiny moment of joy, when you said that, there's a ton of things I could say, but what came through was I had said goodbye to my 3-year-old this morning, and then as I was leaving, she came running over and she goes, "One more huggy and kissy." And she just planted a soft, slow one right on the mouth and wrapped both her arms and gave me this real juice up for the day, squeeze, hug moment. And it was just just my heart in a million pieces of love. And I can still feel it. That's real. So that was my tiny moment. Joy. My TM Joe, what did you call it?
Timo J.
Timo J.
So mine is an odd one today. Because I went to that coffee shop and I could tell that they were kind of a little tense at the coffee shop and maybe not the most open, happy people. And just giving them a few compliments, whether they expressed that they received the compliment or not. I think that no matter what, they're like, "Oh, that was he was giving us compliments." I don't think people get compliments all that often.
Yeah.
And so I just felt that was a little selfish, tiny moment of joy, where I was like, I hope I did something to get them a smile after I walked out the door.
That feels good. I have a group of friends. We play the compliment game. We just go around the table just giving compliments until we just run out, basically. So we're there for a while. It's fun. Do these things with your friends. These things, again, free, offering compliments to people at the coffee shop. They have a frequency. It increases joy, more light, more presence, more life, more this is the whole point. How precious is this? We get to do this. We are so freaking blessed. And the more we can lean into that, the more we can create. And it's just I don't know, We're lucky to be alive. Look at
Yes,
us.
we are. Well,
Cheers,
thank you.
l'chaim to that.
Thank you very much. It was really a pleasure getting to talk to you and hearing your perspective, your knowledge on so many things that we can all help ourselves be better at, both health-wise and, mental and physical health.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you
both.
so much, Robyn. And I just encourage our listeners out there, if you haven't already, like, get in touch with your gut. Pick up a copy of Go With Your Gut.
Yeah.
Thin from Within.
Follow me on Instagram, Robyn
Follow
Youkilis.
her.
I'm like I'm on TikTok too, but a big IG person. Send me a DM, say hi. Love chatting with everybody.
Yeah.
The books are out in the world.
And check out that Hot Mama program,
Yes.
too, that you have going on.
I teach all the fun things in there. I teach moms how to have more fun.
Good.
Like, what's actually
it.
fun for you? It's probably a little different than what was fun for you in your 20s. So still working it out.
well, great. Well, thank you very much.
Guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste,
And
bitches.
now we're all. And I feel like now we're all so much more relaxed already.
Oh,
Like,
you feel a shift
you
in
feel
the
it,
room,
yeah.
right? Like, how cool.
Yeah.
How cool.
Yeah.
Grounded AF.
Peace.
Blessings.